So I want to make a D&D map, but I need some graph paper to make it work. So I'm going to make that graph paper in PowerPoint. I'm going to start by taking this slide and I'm going to say delete the whatever's on there initially, and I'm going to go to the grids and say snap to grid and display the grid on the screen, and that gives me a nice little grid here. So if I take a vertical line and I insert it into here, hold down Shift, it gives me a nice vertical line that when I drag it, it snaps it to exactly the place on the grid where I want it. So in order to make this something that's printable on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, I'm going to come up here to Design, I'm going to select Custom Size, and I'm going to give it a width of 8.5, pardon me, I'm going to make the width 11 and make the height 8.5. That'll keep it a nice landscape mode, make it easier to see on the screen here. So when I hit OK, I'll say ensure fit, that's fine. I have a nice grid here, so let's take my line that I've already made. I'm going to hold down Shift as I pull it down, that'll keep it vertical. And I'm going to copy and paste this line into each inch along the way. Now, an easy way of doing this is to highlight both of them, copy, paste, and that doubles it each time, although it can cause you to have things out of alignment if you're not careful, like I was. So there we go. Now, I have 4 lines, copy, paste, I now have 8. Put those into the inches along the way here, copy, paste, that gives me 12, and that puts me all the way to the end. Now that's 1-inch lines. That's a little bit too wide for a map. So let's take this slide and duplicate it. And now I'm going to copy and paste these lines after selecting them all. I'm going to put it halfway in between. Now I have a nice 1/2-inch graph paper, and I'm going to duplicate this slide again to make a nice 1/4-inch graph paper. Again, copy, paste. When I paste it in, I put it in here to halfway in between the 1/2 inches, and that gives me a nice 1/4 inch. But this graph paper only has vertical lines, so how can I quickly make the horizontal lines? So the way I'm going to make these horizontal lines is I'm going to take these and I'm going to group them together, and I'm going to stretch that group out vertically. Then I'm going to take that vertical group, copy, paste, take the duplicate version and line it up with the original, and hold down Shift while rotating it 90 degrees. If I hold down Shift, it makes it snap to at exactly 90 degrees. So now I align these up with the grid lines, and I have my 1-inch graph paper. Now the way I can remove this is by selecting the group, ungrouping, deleting these top 2 lines, regrouping it. And I could have done this in a different order, but this is fine. When I regroup it, I'm going to snap these right up to the edge of the paper. I'm going to take the top group here, I'm going to snap it to the edge of the paper, and there's a 1-inch graph paper. Now I can do the same thing for each of these. I'm going to highlight this, group it, stretch it out, take that group, duplicate it, lay it on there, rotate it 90 degrees. From there, I grab it, drag it down, it snaps to the lines below. This time I'll do the grooming of the edges first before I ungroup it and remove the excess lines. Take that line out, then I'll take this vertical one, bring it down to here, and there we go. And I have one extra line here on the edge. I'm going to ungroup this, get rid of that line, and I have a nice 1-inch, 1/2 inch. Now let's make the 1/4 inch graph paper. Again, I will I will take these, select them all, group them together, stretch it upward, copy, paste the group, rotate the group 90 degrees, bring the group down to here, and once I have that in there, I can groom the edges here, bring this in, make it look nice, ungroup it, and we'll delete the excess lines, including the one that's right at the edge of the page. Take the larger group, pull it down to here, and we're done. So now I'm left with a 1-inch, half-inch, quarter-inch graph paper that I can use for making my D&D maps. The last step of this process is I want to go to View, and I want to go to the Slide Master view. And for these, I'm going to delete each of these Slide Masters, each of these slides. That one is in use, so I can't delete it. But I can delete the remainder of them. And I want to be left with just 3. And this one, I can remove each of these items from the slides. And this is, it may seem like I'm taking an extra step here, but this will help me when I actually want to use PowerPoint for making the maps. So let's go ahead and rename this layout. We're going to call this layout 1-inch, and we're going to call this layout half-inch, and we're going to call this layout quarter-inch. Okay, and then let's go back to the, I'm on the Slide Master now, so I'm going to take this half-inch, I'm going to say Cut, and I'm going to go View, Slide Master, Paste. Now my half-inch has the, or pardon me, the 1-inch template has the 1-inch slide. I'm going to go to the quarter-inch, Cut, and I'm going to go to View, Slide Master, take the quarter-inch one, Paste, close the master view. I'm going to go to the last one. Now you'll see here, you can actually see the 1-inch graph paper on here. That's because this is the 1-inch underlying page. So when I take the quarter-inch one, I'm going to say Cut, View, Slide Master, come down here to the quarter-inch, Paste, close View. Now what I'm left with is I select these. If I come down to Layout, I can say I want to see 1-inch, I want to see a half-inch, and I want to see a quarter-inch. But the nice thing about this is I don't actually see, or I'm not actually able to grab any of these, which means that if I want to make a map, I can just make a shape here, insert the shape in, and pull the shape up to here. Let's say shape fill white, and I have a nice map here, and I'll have a nice underlaying grid that can help the DM to spot things on the map as well. I'll make another video in the future on making the maps, but this should be enough for the video today. If you have any questions about this graph paper, making this graph paper, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. Like this video if you like it, and subscribe if you want to see more.